In an era of Black Lives Matter, um, the does the Biden administration really want to take on prominent activists like Al Sharpton and Ben Crump and make lives potentially harder for all Black Americans, like preferably the men, all because the government says it's in their best interest to be for this? Now, there is a cost-benefit analysis to be had between good public health policy and the dynamics of criminal justice reform as Democrats weigh in on the FDA's proposed ban on menthol cigarettes, which will disproportionately affect the Black community. Now, the question is whether the Biden administration can successfully perform this balancing act and win over the Black Democratic voters. Nearly 85% of all Black Americans use menthol cigarettes, as opposed to just 29% of white smokers, and its alluring cooling effect attracts more than half of all kids who smoke. The FDA says that a menthol ban would save lives, 650,000 of them, over the next 40 years, with more than a third of them being the Black Americans. And yet the stiffest resistance is coming from the Black leaders like the Reverend Al Sharpton and civil rights lawyer Ben Crump, who represents the families of Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, and George Floyd, and they fear that more Black men could be victimized by a ban that is well-intentioned, but will inevitably lead to the legal selling of menthol and more prosecution of Black men for a petty offense, much in the way that Eric Garner lost his life in New York in a confrontation that was started by police pulling him over for allegedly selling loose cigarettes. It's a straight-up political choice, though. Do we need more than one battle? One more aggravation for the libertarian right wing? They're the ones who will be rushing to the defense of letting people choose to smoke, even if that means that they will end up dying, said Arthur Kaplan, who's a professor of the bioethics at New York University School of Medicine. Now, critics of the proposed ban, which the FDA announced last week, say that it will backfire like the ill-fated war on drugs, putting small-time users behind bars and in the police crosshairs, while the smuggling kingpins are getting rich. The prohibition is also invoked as proof that outlawing a product that's in demand will only create a black market, which will do more damage, in no small part because it gives police yet another excuse to target the Black Americans for minor legal violations, as critics of overcriminalization have argued. Now, such voices on the right wing and the progressive left side are skeptical of the proponents' claim that the menthol ban won't be enforced on the little guys, and noting that the fact that all laws are ultimately enforced at the barrel of a law enforcement gun and with the threat of incarceration, and even a single scrape with law enforcement can potentially ruin a person's chances for employment, student loans, or any housing. But are the public health benefits worth the risk of this? The FDA has been trying for more than 10 years to chip away at making smoking illegal. Menthol has been a priority since 2009, when it was the only cigarette flavor that wasn't banned under the law that year that gave the FDA the power to regulate tobacco products. And despite the likely negative impact on the Black communities, you have to support the effort, Kaplan argued. The toll of smoking is huge. The toll of menthol is huge. The burden falls heavily on all Black communities because of the tobacco industry's marketing. The billboard advertisements for the coal menthol cigarettes were once all over the place, even in the poor neighborhoods, until they were made illegal. It's not just a matter of taste; it's the marketing. Kaplan told the Daily Beast Black men were sold that it's a cool and hip thing to do. Newport cigarette ads featured waterfalls and healthy outdoor imagery that hinted that this is good for you, like sitting next to a running brook, said Kaplan. But the sellers have been duplicitous and remarkably indifferent to the harm that they're causing. Now, Kaplan favors aggressive smoking cessation programs that are coupled with the recognition that an illegal black market is starting to emerge, and everyone would have to agree that for a time you do not aggressively prosecute the small fry sellers, Kaplan said, citing the recent crackdown on opioids as a model where the drug maker was targeted. Manufacturers and distributors, that's where the emphasis should be. The guys in the street should get a break for a while. Now, resistance from the Congressional Black Caucus last year had stalled the FDA's proposed ban, and the pushback from civil rights leaders warning of an unintended consequences, and it has some members reluctant to take a stand on this. Imagine some cop pulling a kid over saying, "Where did you buy or get that cool menthol cigarette?" Sharpton told Politico. People are not going to stop smoking Newports and Coles because of a rule. They're going to go out and get them from people that go to the straight in the black market. And this is what happens. This is all we're asking. Carol Magruder, who's the founder and co-chair of the African Americans for Tobacco Control Council, had told the Daily Beast that she's guardedly optimistic that the FDA ban on menthol cigarettes and menthol tobacco and cigars will make it through the process of public comment this week, and later through public hearings that the FDA will hold next month on June 13th and the 15th. She cited the statement of support from the NAACP, the President Derek Johnson, which called the proposed ban on a huge win for equity, justice, and public health concerns, and stressing that the burden of enforcement will be on the industry and not the victims of predatory marketing practices. A longtime public health and anti-tobacco activist, Magruder had said of the San Francisco-based group she founded that we are from the community and we are not trying to get anyone killed like Eric Garner for selling loose cigarettes. And basically, she said she loved Ben Crump, but we need police reform. But at the same time, we must take the deadliest product off the market. And Magruder had noted that Reverend Al Sharpton is one of many who object to the menthol ban that has taken money from the tobacco companies, and notably R.J. Reynolds and Altria, which was previously known as Philip Morris. They shouldn't have had a seat at the table when these companies have killed 1 million people over the last 20 years. Now, we've shed many tears for Eric Garner and for Trayvon Martin and for the rest, but for the tobacco industry to latch onto those feelings we have is wrong, Magruder added. But people tell you, it's my choice. It's not your choice when they targeted our community, and they paid off our elected officials, and they bought out the media. They've been doing it for over 20 years. Now we're getting to the remedy for this horrific act, and that's where Sharpton and Crump should be applying their leverage and what benefits that we can get out of this. Now, Magruder estimated the best-case scenario that would have the menthol ban implemented within 2 years, but she did say that doesn't mean the fight is over. The industry will mount an opposition campaign, and they can still sue, Magruder added, but they're businessmen in suits, and they're hiding behind their racism. That's a reality in the black community, which puts the onus on public health advocates to refute. There's no turning away from the FDA's conclusion that menthol can kill people, and to leave these flavored cigarettes and cigars in places would be a disservice to the black communities that have already lost too many lives. But that can't be the end of this, or we'll be right back at the beginning. The tobacco industry made money destroying black lives. Now it's time to pay it forward. A settlement along the lines of what was reached with the pharmaceutical industry to address the harm done about opioids, and what goes around comes around, and we can call it fucking karma. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just as little as a few bucks a month, your donation can help go a long way and help further the channel. And thanks for listening.